Everybody excited for the possible snow or definite snow that we're getting this weekend?
Yes.
For those of you that ski or sled or like to build snowmen, I still like to do that. All right, it looks like pretty much everyone's in. Okay, well, welcome back, Grafton. Again, I'm going to ask, as I have with other sessions, if it is possible for you to show your beautiful and handsome faces. I'm going to ask you to do that and keep your cameras on so that we can see you throughout our session today. This is our third session together, and you have been working so hard in your groups, on your teams, in your companies, and today's a big day for everybody. We're going to do some presentations. But before we start, I am just going to remind us all, like, what was our goal together? Our goal is all of you are already interested in STEM, possibly going down a career in STEM of some sort. And so during this, you're learning more about STEM, you're learning about teamwork, you're learning about all of those deep human essential skills that you will need in order to be successful in the workplace. Flexibility, problem solving, learning from failure and why failure is not always bad. So we're going to be talking about all of those things today as you present. Our Waters employees are with us. After each company presents, we are going to have a period where people can make comments and ask questions. Our Waters employees will do that, but I'm also expecting for you to do that of each other. If there's something that you saw that you think was great that another team did, compliment them and explain why that hit home for you, or why that was helpful in understanding their solution to the problem. If you have a question about something that they shared, please ask, because again, when you're in the workplace, we critique each other, and it's positive. So it's a learning experience. So to move forward, your challenge. This is what was presented to you a few weeks back. Design a waste-free city that uses the principles of a circular economy. When you were first presented with that challenge, I know a lot of you were like, whoa, what is that? But you've since gone through all of the 7 steps of problem solving, and you've been able to do everything from identifying the issues at the beginning, and then going through each of those steps, coming up with a solution, working through disagreements, and coming up with some kind of solution to share today. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and each company is going to have an opportunity to share their screen when it's your company's turn to present. So I think we're going to start today with a drum roll, if I had some drumsticks. We're going to start with our company known as Y Fuel. So our company known as Y Fuel, if one of you would be happy to screen share and present, we're ready.
But you're not muted. Okay.
Hello guys, our company is Y Fuel, and it's gonna be a circular economy.
On the agenda today, we're going to talk about carbon pollution, oil pollution, trash accumulation, and reusable energy. To start, carbon pollution is primarily caused by the burning of fossil fuels, whether that be coal to run a power plant or gasoline to fuel a car. It's a natural carbon dioxide is a natural gas. Even just exhaling it introduces it into the atmosphere, but that's completely natural and much easier to manage than the current amount of carbon dioxide that is being emitted by factories. The sheer amount of carbon in the atmosphere has caused global temperatures to rise because it absorbs and radiates heat. These temperatures, if they continue to rise, will wipe out life on Earth. Oh, okay. So for capture of carbon, it's not yet totally possible, but idea was to create a device that would attach to the exhaust pipes of cars to effectively and efficiently collect the carbon that would normally be emitted and either introduce it into a greenhouse or filter it. There is already a method of filtering carbon dioxide where it's suctioned and passed through filters to capture the toxins and expel the clean air, as shown on the slide, the bottom two pictures there. Our next idea was introducing more plant life. And so photosynthesis is the same. The speed of the growth of a plant makes the process faster. And so it's using up more carbon dioxide per second. And based on this, bamboo is likely the best option to plant more of for carbon capture efficiency because it grows the fastest.
So oil pollution is very difficult to remove from water, and it can affect a lot of the environment. It can affect the water and it can affect the animals. And there are methods to remove it for the water, but we were looking at better methods to do so. One method I was thinking was switching to electricity for ships. This would not take away from the oil that's already in the water, but it would prevent future oil spills. And also attaching filters to the bottoms of ships could be used to get the oil out of the water and in areas that are difficult to reach.
Okay, so another aspect of pollution in the environment is trash accumulation. And this is an issue because it contributes to the total amount of waste. Our proposed solution to this is it's a technique called waste bricking, which takes inorganic landfill trash and puts it into plastic bottles and then compresses it into a brick-like material to be used for building materials. And the picture on the slide shows some people building a building out of these bricks.
And we started to find some reusable energy sources. And with research, we found that you can actually make workout machines reusable energy. So our city will have gyms throughout the city in order to create energy. And those will be powered by a wind power generator. And they'll be like Peloton-like stationary bikes. And then they're put in outlets to absorb the energy. And it uses the energy created on the bike throughout the city. And we have a video of that in action. The video's not loading right now, but we can send out the link so you guys can watch it. So you guys in the future. Okay.
So harnessing energy from plastic. The world generates about 3.5 million tons of plastic per day. Yeah, it can end up in oceans and street and harm wildlife and humans. Toxic substances stemming from this plastic can ruin the quality of the soil and the air around us. This could lead to trees dying and plant life dying around us, and it could also spread into the water that we drink. So how do we solve this? We could use pyrolysis technology. Basically, this is taking waste and reusing it for energy. We filter out recyclable material and we only use waste that cannot be recycled. By burning waste such as plastic, we can create a high amount of steam, and we use the steam to spin generator turbines, and this produces a vast amount of electricity. This eliminates the need of fossil fuels, which, as we know, are very expensive in today's economy. It generates more money for our cities as countries are paying to export this trash out because they don't want this trash to pile up. Carbon dioxide emissions can drop by 34%, and greenhouse emissions can drop by, based on research done on Sweden's own waste to energy system. As seen in the picture below, we can see a worker in a Swedish factory filtering out waste from recyclable material, and then this waste is going to be transported to a facility where they can use this for creating energy.
Thank you.
Great job. All right, why fuel? Will I give your company any business? I will say, first of all, thumbs up. Each of you participated in the presentation, so you each had an active role in that leadership position. So well done, for sure. I have a question, and you may or may not know the answer, and that's okay. Thank you, Sophia, for putting that link to the video there in the chat. I'm seeing that now. I do have a question, and I think, Sophia, it actually may have been your slide. The slide that was talking about the submarines and filtering the oil. By chance, and it's a very interesting concept. By chance, were you able to find, or did you look at the cost of that and how that works from a fiscal standpoint at all, or did you not get into that piece?
I unfortunately did not get into that piece. There was a lot of information. I was trying to kind of focus on finding a more of an effective way to get rid of the oil, and then focus on cost later if I had time. And I did not get to that, unfortunately.
Yep. No worries whatsoever. I don't know a lot about it, and I was just curious myself. So it's something that I can look up. But yeah, well done. Who else has comments or questions for our Why Fuel company? Feel free to go ahead and take yourself off mute and just ask or make a comment.
I just want to say that you folks did a great job. It's never easy going first. And you could tell that you practiced and worked really hard on your presentation, and that showed through. So excellent work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to say that this group did an amazing job. I got a chance to work with this group, and I got to see some of these ideas be brainstormed, and to see this project be realized is pretty amazing. You guys did a fantastic job. Keep up the good work.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I was interested that you came up with the bamboo for an efficient, a fast-growing plant that would more quickly absorb carbon. And I've tried to do a little research on this myself. I've also found that the plants that absorb the most carbon, of course, are the big redwood trees, but they take hundreds of years to grow. So as we think about this going forward, I'm just curious if there's any strategy that you might come up with, not, not off the top of your head, but just thinking about it in the future, to look at different types of plants, some that grow fast, some that grow at an interim rate, and then some that grow over hundreds of years, to try to balance the overall carbon CO2 absorption by the plants. If you have any thoughts on that.
Just off the top of my head for right now, because you mentioned the redwood trees and the bamboo, because the redwood fast, but they can efficiently absorb the carbon, whereas the bamboo grows a lot faster. It would be interesting to see if we could sort of like cross them using genetics and create something that works both ways, so it'll grow fast and absorb a lot of carbon. But I'm not sure about that. I have to look into it.
Yeah, I never thought about that. That's very creative and interesting. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. I just want to say, I think you guys did a great job, and you can definitely tell that you researched in depth with all the ideas you came up with. So kudos, very good job.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments for this company? All right, well, let's give them a thumbs up and a quiet clap. Well done, well researched, good job working together. Excellent. Next, you're welcome. Our next company, if I need help pronouncing it, just correct me. Sava, S-A-V-V-A.
That's correct.
That is correct. All right, well, I'm excited to hear and learn about Sava.
All right. So our group was Sava. Our company is Sava, a futuristic electric grid for our clean living.
Why do we streamline, or why do we want to streamline this new electrical grid? We want to do this because the electricity will keep our society moving. The energy can be used as a universal asset.
Excuse me 1 minute. It says that you're screen sharing, but we only see black. Should we be seeing your presentation? And no worries, no pressure.
Yeah.
Don't get nervous. I just wanted, before you got too far into it, I wanted to let you know.
I'll stop.
We're working on it. I think it's the Wi-Fi connection.
There it is. I see it. Perfect.
Yeah, so as we said before, our company was Sava, which is a futuristic electric grid for our clean living.
Why should we streamline this new electrical grid? Well, the electricity will keep our society moving. Energy can be like a universal asset. Efficient energy is extremely important. And some of the material consequences that stem from the energy imbalance is waste pollution, lack of centralization, lack of necessity, infrastructure efficiencies, like they're not efficient enough, growth management, efficiency focused, and regenerative infrastructure.
And so the idea behind this is that energy is the central aspect, and we can use it as a currency, and drives everything that we do. So nothing that we do goes without energy. Building materials, obtaining materials, that all depends on energy. And so relating everything back to energy helps us centralize and make more efficient our city. So we have our project managers. So I'm Amrit.
I'm Sajak.
Ayush.
And I'm Aditya.
And I'm Vishnavi.
Our Sava idea was based off of like 4 different factors: sustainability, creativity, efficiency, and inspiration.
Okay, so step 1 was creating a framework. And so for this, we had 3 criteria that we wanted to do. We wanted to like randomize the location so that our city could be built anywhere and we didn't use bias. And then we wanted to make sure that we accounted for the fallbacks and made sure that energy that we put in would also be recycled and reused. And then 3, we wanted to make sure that the city can improve and expand as time goes on. So to do this, we used a random city location and we ended up getting Boston. And so we decided that our population would be 20,000 and that it would be like our city would be based on the geography in the 1960s of Boston. And we wanted to make sure that our city was consuming about 26 megawatts of energy.
I made a 3D model to like show the different parts of the economy. Oh, you want some?
Yeah, and before we show you the model, we also wanted to show you our blueprint before. So we wanted to, specifically in Boston, we use South Boston because it has good access to sun, water, storage, and forest, and it has a really good soil nutrition value. But a few of the challenges were that the biodiversity is fairly low and that the altitude is really high and can threaten sustainability long term. And our city will contain transportation such as charging stations and other infrastructures. It'll contain buildings such as living, community, and productivity buildings. And then our energy will be used through the electrical grid, and then the agriculture will be where we grow food.
Okay, so for clean model, we create like different parts of our circular economy to showcase like these parts. So here I have like different parts. So like this is like a shopping center with parking lots and stuff. And there's like some trees here and community center here. And then also like a highway over here. And then also there's like some so like building with like and fence, as well as like there's the solar panels here on top of it. And then there's like a charging station. You can see that over there. It's a charging station over there. There's like cars and then like to charge your electric cars. And then there's also like a water wheel to like use hydropower, as well as someone will like to use wind power as well. And then here's like a building center with like tall skyscrapers and like small buildings surrounding it as well to use that.
And so the idea behind that was the holes in the buildings would be used to help combat wind. And so it would help the structural integrity. And as well, we could also place generators and turbines there so that we could generate energy. And the idea was that because it's kind of this exponential growth in building height, it protects inner buildings from wind. And so this is kind of a workstation for people who are coming to the city.
So we have multiple ideas in the ways to reduce waste. And our first idea is using an alternative to plastics and other harmful disposables. Our first alternative is to use plantain leaves and using ceramics to eat off of, since they're more suitable and safe for our city. And since they're since the plantain leaves are biodegradable as well, they can help our economy. Our second idea is allowing our electric cars to utilize the charging stations along our smart roads to allow quick and easy access to electricity to charge cars and less restrictions for travel on the road. For example, you can get on the road much quicker and charge your car much easier.
All right, so then we had our data and conclusions. We were working on this part of the model, but our managers were very busy. So we have a very rough interpretation of the model. So the idea behind it was that you have multiple different sources of waste, so material waste, pollutive waste, and human waste. And those types of waste are generated through certain processes and are removed in certain ways. So by figuring out the amount of energy you need in order to complete these processes, you will be able to calculate the efficiency of a city which implemented these processes with the amount of energy that they have. And so connecting everything back to energy in order to show how the city is really functioning and affecting the environment is critical for our design. And so some of the pros and cons of our city. So we had centralized systems. And so the organization of the buildings eliminates redundancy. So instead of in a modern day society where you have buildings everywhere and a bunch of different food places and markets, you just have one centralized space for working or for living or for community building. And another aspect of our city was advanced power sources. So we're using the most technologically advanced energy technology and infrastructure in order to create our city. So 3.26 megawatts of the energy that our city is getting comes from a nuclear plant that's outside of the city in Boston. And so this is the AP 1000 power plant, and that allows us to use clean energy. And then the rest of our energy is coming from hydropower, where you have, you're taking the energy and the current from the river and transporting it into electrical energy in ways that, and strategic locations that help biodiversity and don't harm the environment. And so we also had an efficient use of infrastructure. I think that description got deleted, but the efficient use of infrastructure really just making sure that infrastructure is not just there, we can use it to the best of our capabilities. So like with the buildings, having turbines inside the buildings so that not only are we supporting structural integrity and workspaces, but we're generating energy as well. And then there's also an economic transformation, which might be a bit of a drawback because the main structure of our society today is capitalism. And so without capitalism, you have to start to get more creative and have more creative ventures instead of just economic ventures for personal gain. And so we believe in the long run, this will improve our city, but it might be an initial drawback. So another aspect of our city was maintenance and extension. And so our goal for the city was to sustain it for 10,000 years. And so in order to do this, we need to have protocols for maintenance and growth so that the people who come after us and maintain this potential city would be able to do so in a way that was efficient. And so one of the principles for that was our energy economy. And so instead of having monetary currency, we would have energy currency because everything is centralized around energy. And so this would eliminate material wealth and greed and hopefully support a sustainable city where we wouldn't use fossil fuels and disposables. And so we also have open careers so that people in the community can pursue the careers that they want to pursue without restrictions, and they'd have to have the same qualifications as now, but this would also allow us to have people going to those careers and not being restricted by policies that don't matter. And so our city is also modular with centers, and so that means that basically the models that we've produced can be copied over into different environments, and the city can grow.
Wow, that was amazing. That was amazing. I sure do hope that all the project managers are well compensated for all of your hard work with your company, for sure. I'm impressed with both the breadth and the depth at which you really, looked at this challenge and came up with many different solutions from many different aspects. Obviously, at least one person, if not more than one in this group, has some good experience and expertise with 3D software, and that with the visual was definitely helpful to understand some of the concepts that your company offers. So well done, kudos. My one question for you is, obviously, all of you, it was evident that you each had a valid, strong role in coming up with your solution. Was there ever a time where there was a disagreement? And if so, how did you kind of figure out what to do to move forward?
Yeah, so we actually had a huge disagreement about how to model our grid. And so we were arguing about whether or not to code certain aspects of our city in order to see how the energy was flowing. But in the end, we decided that was too complicated. And so that was an interesting challenge that we were working.
Okay. Well, I will just definitely say that, the skills that you use to kind of talk and work things out and kind of move forward are definitely skills that will benefit you, to continue practicing, because they will benefit you one day when you are in the workforce, regardless of your career, working together as a team and being able to problem solve. So well done. I'm going to turn it over to others. I know there's probably other questions and comments as well.
Yes, I'll be the first one. And good job, team. Your presentation definitely was intriguing. It was informative. It was concise. I love what you guys did with the slides and the fact that everyone did, take a part in presenting. I do have a question about Is there any government incentive to your concept? So for example, I think about, there's tax advantage of, for example, going solar, right? So what would be your government, assistance, or just to make the city more appealing for others to go into the city and be able to adapt that lifestyle?
Yeah, definitely. So as a part of our city, we haven't mandated that every building has to have solar panels on top of it. And so that work center that you saw that has solar panels on top of it, and that the tallest building that you saw would beam light to all the solar panels so that they're being used all the time. So it would be advertising clean energy, and also that would be a really spectacular site with all the light beaming down, and I think that would be really pretty. And so in addition to that, the government would be incentivized to invest in the city by the efficiency at which people can achieve tasks. And so government officials and such would be motivated by science and technology rather than politics and power.
Awesome, thank you so much.
Any other comments or questions for this company, for Saba?
I must say that I'm really impressed, and I love the contact information in the end. Like, I almost wanted to screenshot it and like contact you for some services in the future. Just the Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. That's awesome. Nice job, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thumbs up for this group. Well done. All right, next, our next company is Echo Solutions. So Echo Solutions, take a minute to set up, get prepared, and we will await your solution to the problem.
Yeah, so our company was Eco Solutions, and we were mitigating waste for a manageable tomorrow.
All right, so our prototype city is a circular waste economy, zero plastic waste city. And our goal is to encourage the development of worldwide plastic waste-free cities that reduce plastic and recycling existing materials. So why zero plastic? As of today, there's approximately 51 trillion microplastic pieces in the ocean currently. To put that into perspective, that's about 500 times the number of the stars in the Milky Way galaxy. Plastic releases harmful chemical toxins into the soil if it was in a landfill, and if it was in the ocean, like the majority of plastic is in the water. And over 1 million marine life animals die yearly from plastic debris. And a very important and notable part of plastic waste is that it never goes away, and it can break into smaller pieces, but it will never fully be degraded. 76% of all plastic ends up in a landfill or natural environment. not recycled. And landfills release exorbitant amounts of methane gas and other greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. So not only is plastic waste harmful to wildlife and the and soil and water, but atmosphere.
Okay, no, I'm not. Sorry, I was on mute. So
worries.
reducing plastic use. On average, it takes around 15 to 20 years for plastic to become to decompose. And the majority of plastic we throw out ends up contaminating our oceans and our wildlife, even though recycling is a pretty commonly practiced method of limiting plastic use. It is also still a relatively expensive process. So what is a way to limit our plastic waste cost effectively? So reusable packaging and bags. So one of the changes that our city would make is this switch from plastic bags to more eco-friendly reusable bags. And these bags would be available to anyone who needs them and would completely replace plastic in every grocery store. These bags would be made from waste produced from other major industries like the textile and winemaking industry. Some advantages of reusable bags are they are cost effective and have a much longer lifespan and carry far more weight than plastic bags. They provide new products for companies who need to spread their brand, and they're simpler to carry with easy to access, comfortable handles.
Okay, so we did biodegradable packaging. So these products are made out of different types of like paper, or the bags on the left, or eco products, are made out of different type of soy materials, which is like a vinyl material that is compostable, and also the Vanguard Eco products, which are a form of sugarcane packaging that is really easy to compost, and it's just like if you had a styrofoam or cardboard tray or box. So for more alternatives, there's also another form of sugarcane packaging, which is similar to glass containers. And then you also have glass containers to replace those plastic containers, as glass is a lot more reusable than plastic. And then we also have reusable water bottles, which are made out of wood or bamboo. And those can replace the plastic water bottles that are seeing a lot today. And then also paper straws over plastic. Plastic straws are extremely the environment and are extremely harmful to marine life, and a lot of them end up in the water. So we also have recycled building materials, so re-engineered plastic. So a form of this is bi-block. So bi-block is a type of building block made out of recycled plastic water bottles and other forms of plastic waste. The block is made using compression and superheated steam, and it is extremely efficient and creates a lot less greenhouse gases, 41% less than typical cinder block production, yet it's stronger than cinder blocks. So the block is used similarly to the cinder blocks in retaining walls, sound walls, sheds, privacy fencing, terracing and landscaping, accent walls, furniture, and more. And then the other form of engineered plastics is eco-straight flooring and paneling. These eco-straight panels are made up of recycled plastics and are created using thermoforming, which is just a way to superheat and then press them together into forms. And then these panels can be used in a variety of different ways, including road signs. So instead of having to use metal, which is extremely damaging to the environment, to actually produce the metal signs, You can use recycled plastic signs, which are just as durable. You can also use it in flooring, wall paneling, and much more. The signs are 100% recycled plastic, meaning that you do not need any fresh plastic pellets in order to create them. And then you can also use the plastic thermoforming to make a vinyl that can be used in furniture.
So another big issue was the way we dispose of our trash. And so we really wanted to utilize composting and recycling. So composting is a natural way to recycle organic material. And then it turns it into a sort of humus that can be used to fertilize land, and it's really good for crops. And so the way we have it now, when you throw something out, it'll just, a trash truck will come and take it to a landfill. And so our city will use composting to cut down on that because landfills are really bad for the environment. And obviously not everything can be composted. And so anything that isn't will be recycled. And we have a 4-bin system that you'll or bin for paper, plastics, and it'll be more efficient for when it goes to be recycled. It'll be an easy process.
So we have to look ahead because we realize that this is not something that just happens, but it's something that has to be worked on. So we plan to monitor local waterways for pollution because on a grand scale, the ocean and the plastic in the ocean would be ideal. But when we're starting with just one city, local waterways would be where we started. We would collect data from recycling centers to see the hopeful increase amount of recycled materials. And we would encourage composting, recycling, and picking up litter because the circular economy relies on everyone.
All right, Eco Solutions, well done. Again, this team, you could tell that there was a lot of effort, you worked hard. They have a lot of different solutions from a lot of different angles, so well done. I do have a question regarding the BiBlock and EcoStreet flooring. Is that when you think about that? Does your company envision marketing that to private homeowners, to businesses, to schools? Like, how would that work? And as far as, what would your goal be for what percentage of the city, how much of the city would you envision being built with these types of materials?
So we figure we could market this to the general population as well as private businesses, and we see it as not a replacement, but almost like not instead of replacing current structures, we see it as a way to build new structures because it wouldn't be cost effective to rebuild structures with the BiBlocks or the EcoStraight. And we see this as like a great opportunity to just reuse the plastics that would normally just be wasted or thrown out. And we just see it as a great way to there's less emissions that come from the creation of plastic blocks or the BiBlocks than it is like if you're to make concrete blocks. And then we could also use energy versus our steam, like in the BiBlocks, versus like some sort of natural gas fueled system.
Great, excellent. Thank you for clarifying that. Other comments or questions for Eco Solutions?
I do have a question. Nice job, guys. If you were to, what location rather would you see the city being a part of or being in, and why?
I thought that maybe we talked about it a bit, but we'd be more localized towards like the water or in the ocean because it'd be a lot easier to monitor waterways and see if there was actually any plastic pollution being left over. So we thought maybe like someplace tropical.
Awesome, thank you.
All right, thumbs up. Well done, Eco Solutions. Our next company has the creative name of Hydrogreen. So when you are ready, feel free to enlighten us.
Sorry, we ran into some issues sharing the screen, but I think we got it covered.
No worries. Are you ready to go, or would you rather have another group go first?
I think we're ready. She's just working on it now.
Okay. Thanks for the update. While we're waiting, after Hydrogreen, we will have the Wasters come next, and then our last company, they're going to have to share their company name with us because we don't know it yet. So we'll hear from Hydrogreen, then the Wasters, and then our last group. All right, thank you.
All right, we're all set now. So our company is Hydrogreen, and essentially we focused more on getting like focused on one problem rather than multiple issues and solving multiple issues. We more focused on just water and coming up with an invention that would benefit that. So we'd be more of a city that is like almost like an island and is around water, because our main goal was to fix issues with water and businesses causing waste that goes into the water. So what is Hydrogreen and what we do? Next slide. Okay, so Hydrogreen is a company that creates technology using environmentally friendly resources as well as eco-friendly technology in order to reduce pollutions and many sources of water through our city. So our goal was essentially to come up with something that was both eco-friendly and use technology in a way that wouldn't hurt the environment but help it.
Okay, so the big question you may have is why do we create these innovations? Well, in past times, water pollution has created numerous problems such as health issues and hundreds of ecological conflicts that have negatively impacted our world in different ways. Unfortunately, these conflicts continue after to affect our city as well as many other environmental. Sorry, hold on. Our system will be put in place to permanently mend these issues and create an environmentally friendly, sustainable city.
Our conflicts, our company decided to focus on water because water takes up 71% of our world, which means it's critical to helping to better our earth. It was important to us to find out what those problems are in order to solve them. Some of these problems that we wanted to solve are water pollution, because water pollution help damage our health, animals, plants, and the food that we drink and eat.
Okay, so our company, Hydrogen, has created a world-changing system that uses technology as well as sustainable resources like plants to reduce and hopefully eliminate water pollutants. In the past, systems that have been created haven't been the most effective, and we're we're very optimistic that our system will produce change in the environment.
This is a picture or like a model of what it looks like.
Excuse me for interrupting. Your audio is not working at the moment.
Can you hear me?
We can now. Thank you.
So this is a model of how it would work. So you can see that there's a body of water, which is the pond, and the pond has chemicals in it. And there's a filter or like a pipe that's going through and pumping out the water, and then there's a filter that the water will go through. But there is technology in the filter and the pipes that separates the chemicals and leads them into different sorts of pipes. And each pipe goes to a different section of the plants. It goes into different plants, and each plant will filter out different chemicals. But each plant water, it'll drip down to each section, like different plants. So they are filtering themselves and they're getting water themselves. And eventually it'll, once it goes through all the plants, it goes out and it's clean water. It's all powered by solar systems, and it can be powered by trash. So if you burn the trash, you can use it as fuel.
Okay, so the benefits of our system reduces pollution in bodies of water. It also uses the waste it produces as energy, so it really goes along with that, the cycle. It also is minimally invasive to ecosystems, and I just want to add that these are not the only benefits of our system. We just thought that these are the most significant and impressive. Our continuing plan. So this system will receive quarterly checks to ensure that every part is working correctly. Data will be collected every month to guarantee that the system is reducing pollutants in water and actually doing its job. And plants will be replaced whenever necessary. It is very important to us to have a continuing plan, as we obviously don't want our system to do more harm than good. So we also added that if anything in our system is not working correctly or begins to use too many of the Earth's natural resources, it will immediately be altered to make it effectively, because our main goal is to make sure that it stays eco-friendly and that it's helping, not hurting the environment. So unlike other sources where they get put in place and then they're not regularly checked, so they end up hurting the environment more than actually affecting ours. We make it a promise that ours will not do that.
Another well done presentation for sure. I was impressed with the model. I think that as far as the presenting goes, that having that drawing along with the explanation of how your filter worked or works is very helpful and helps to clarify things. Again, I've heard this from other groups, and I'm hearing it again with your company. The monitoring that needs to take place and the data collection is always very important. So well done. I will ask. Do you have a patent on your filter so that other companies don't steal your good idea? I'm half joking.
I mean, I'm sure it could be definitely put in place.
Yeah, absolutely. And I recently learned, just as an FYI, to get a patent, they don't have to be big fancy drawings. They can be a drawing just like yours. Patents are received by drawings on like a little napkin even. So just food for thought. Great idea. Well done. Other questions and comments for HydroGreen?
I know how hard you folks worked to come up with that design and how many things you consider and really how thoughtful it was. So it was really great to see it in action, and it was a really thorough and detailed explanation. So great work, folks.
Thank
you. Yeah, I wanted to ask, did you look into more deeply, like any specific types of plants that you were going to be using for filtering? And the one that came to mind for me, it doesn't probably really apply in your case, but it's mangroves that filter salt water. I'll put that in the chat. So I'll just let you comment on that.
I did research some, and I know that algae can filter water. I also know that water irises can, and so it'd be like you'd have to have different filtration systems for like different types of bodies of water, because it could like say water, it could kill a freshwater plant. But yeah, I did research some plants that filter water.
Great, thank you.
Any other comments or questions before we move on to the wasters? All right, well, again, well done. HydroGreen, well done. I absolutely respect and love the idea that you kind of focused in your solution to one aspect of the city and really spent time and energy and research into a specific area. So well done. All right, next up, the wasters. Take it away.
So we are the wasters, pretty ironic name for what the challenge is, but we say no to waste. Thanks. We each kind of took different approaches and different kinds of ways to help make it a waste-free city. And the first way is landfills are sites where most facilities are. Americans use of trash per person, and 65% of discarded home and business material end up in landfills. So contents of landfills are all mixed together with some materials that take a really long time to biodegrade, like millions of years for some. And then, so they are usually considered contaminated. The mixed organic matter degrades and generates 12% of the world's methane, which is a really harmful greenhouse gas. So our solution is that the waste will be separated into quick and slow biodegradation. The waste that is biodegraded will be turned into compost, and then the waste that is slow will be sent to other projects to be reused instead of inside landfills. 2/3 of the landfill that we're going to turn into compost is usually under 6 months, and some are even as few as are even like as slow as a few weeks or fast as a few weeks, like paper, and food is a few months. Households would have separate trashes for reusable waste and graded waste so they can separate it. And then we would use algae to speed up the composting even more. And then composting the biodegradable landfill will produce little to no methane. And the compost could then be used as fertilizer for reforestation.
So the next issue is pollution in water and oceans. And currently there is about 50 to 75 trillion pieces of plastic and microplastics in the ocean. And there's approximately 593 million pounds of plastic pollution that float on the ocean surface. And this affects animals because animals can think the plastic is food, so it can block their digestive systems. And the toxic chemicals that are in the plastic waste can affect their health. And the people can digest these harmful chemicals as the animals make their way up the food chain. And for humans, chemicals in the ocean such as oil, mercury, lead, and pesticides contaminate the water supplies and the food chain, again, affecting marine animals. And if these chemicals stay in the water for long periods of time, it can lead to health problems such as hormonal, reproductive issues, and damage to the nervous system and kidneys. And so a solution to this is to limit the amount of plastic we use. And especially in like grocery stores or stores in general, there's a lot of plastic we use. So only using like recyclable brown bags, and with packaging, limiting plastic products and allowing more reusable products such as cardboard, glass bottles, jars, and more. And what Kaden said, using algae to soak up harmful chemicals in the water. And the algae soaks up the chemicals in the water, and then when it's fully grown, they can get sent to landfills. And from there, we can put new algae back into the water and to continue the cycle.
Okay, can you hear me? So what do we do about the timeless trash that we have in our landfills? Some things will take millennials to decompose. So one of our best course of actions would be to clean out certain aspects and use them back into our society. So as the National Geographic quotes about plastic right now, that 79% of it is still in landfills. And within the chart, we can see that over 29 million tons. So it's not necessarily about limiting plastic use through social contracts, but we can instead reinfuse it back into our architecture and infrastructure. So what do we do with stuff that doesn't decompose? We can remanufacture and reuse. Some of the waste materials can be used for infrastructure. We can create solar panels, which are mostly made out of glass, aluminum, and plastic. We can create glass wool, which can be used and withstand over 300 degrees. And we can also layer roads, just as the ancient Romans did, and we can put that trash to good use. We can also use it for reinstall food products into things such as clothing, park benches. Fake leather can be made from the extract of cellulose from apples, which is a fun fact. Installation, we can use eco bricks into schools and housing. As seen from the second picture, there is a building that is completely made out of trash. And though we can revamp it, it can look modern and clean just while we continually hide the waste. It's good as our city expands when we create more waste that we can reuse it and install more housing. There's also plastic reshaping where we could put it into park benches, rugs, roads, and things such as playgrounds. So we're not only helping the economy, we're also helping our people.
So this brings us to our next topic, which is CO2 control through recycling. And it's really about air pollution and how it's a growing environmental issue in our cities and our world. And the substances left in our atmosphere is a huge contribution to waste. CO2 is an overly abundant greenhouse gas. It's actually the primary greenhouse gas emitted through human activities. It accounts for about 80% of all atmospheric pollution. The process of burning materials or fuel releases CO2 into the air. Cities contain lots of production sites, such as factories or manufacturing plants, where machinery operates through the use of fuel. The idea is that we can use the excessive amount of CO2 and turn it back into fuel. How are we going to do that? By creating gasoline. Since carbon monoxide and hydrogen are the main components of methane, all we need in order to power this reactor and produce the methane is CO2 and H2O. The CO2 would come from the factory's waste, and the water would come from clean sources. The solar reactor works by filtering out the oxygen through oxide rings that are set up in a circular array. Once the oxygen filtered materials go through the solar reactor, they go into the core of the reactor and then bond together through solar heat to form hydrocarbons and then further into methane. The goal is to use CO2 waste from factories to fuel these reactors, directing the flow of waste through a circular economy style.
Connecting back to our previous ideas of using reusable materials, we would like to also use cardboard and make it reusable. So as many small restaurants have like their supplies and other goods delivered in cardboard boxes, this results in the restaurant having all its trash being cardboard, for the most part. And we know that cardboard is a one-time use thing, so it cannot be reusable, and it takes a long while for the company to throw it away. So our solution is to have the cardboard box be reusable, and we could have the restaurant and the supplier make kind of business. So as you see on the picture on the right, the top view of the cardboard box will kind of have like a zipper as well as the bottom, and both of those zippers can unwind, and the cardboard from on top and from both sides can be brought to the sides, where they'll be connected through a magnet, and then it will be compressed like on the picture on the right through those arrows to show that they become a flat surface, and it can go back to the supplier, and the cardboard can be reused, and we don't have as much waste in our atmosphere. The next topic though we also wanted to bring in is using wind trees and building wind designs. So when we do not have enough trees in an area, we can also build and manufacture wind trees, which are basically just architectural designs. And we will have like little leaves on top of them that harness the power of the wind to turn and also converting that power to electricity. We also would like to use wind turbines and similar materials on top of buildings so they can be self-sustainable. And on a larger scale, they can be put on industrial buildings and also remote locations for any places that don't have solar. Another topic we would also like to bring inside is using pavage tiles, and this will create a new clean environment from renewable energies. So looking at renewable energies, we need more sources of it. So we would like to utilize kinetic energy. So we will utilize this kinetic energy as seen on the photo on the top right. When a person steps on the tile, it will compress down a little bit, and it will be turning the flywheel generator, which will be converting the kinetic motion of stepping down on the tile into electricity. And we plan on using these in all public walking spaces, and we can find more uses for it over time. Another one of our ideas is transparent solar, and we would like to implement this idea in all places that have windows, in every building, in any place of all things you can think of. This idea is possible through the use of salts, which can be put inside the glass to absorb energy. So then the question is asked, how is it a window if it's absorbing light? Because a window is something that is transparent, so it's not absorbing the light to create energy. So the question is, how are we going to be creating energy and having it transparent? And that's where we kind of created an idea, and we use the idea of light being a spectrum. So we will have all visible light that humans can see not be absorbed and be transparent. So then creating a window, and every other form of the spectrum can be absorbed, and we can harness all that for electricity, which will actually be more effective than solar panels, and it can be more widely spread. That will launch our city into a more sustainable source of energy. And finally, I want to connect back to how we talked about plastic. And we know that tons of plastic are there's in water and everywhere in our environment. And we will plan on using, like in the beginning of our presentation, and utilizing plastics to make houses and other roads and everything that we can use it for. But any excess plastic that we produce, we don't have anything to do with it because it's not biodegradable. So what we attempt to do is using enzymes for mealworms. Mealworms are basically just worms, but their internal structure creates an enzyme. And this enzyme is kind of similar to how a human has enzymes of lactase. And this lactase breaks down lactose when you drink milk, and it can break it down inside your body. So we want to do that with plastics. If we can learn how to extract these enzymes, and when we do extract these enzymes, we're able to create facilities where we can put in plastic, and will be basically broken down by the enzymes and the facilities that we use. Thank you so much, guys.
All right, well done. Again, many, many ideas. One question for you. What was the most challenging portion of this challenge? Anybody in your group?
Creating a solution, probably.
I guess I ask a broad question. I'm going to get a broad answer, right? That's fair.
So I think one of the hardest things was that we all had different ideas and different passions, like about energy or the ocean, and it was kind of difficult to center them and kind of shorten it. So, but I think we did really well collaborating and finding out ways to prioritize what we especially like.
Excellent. Prioritizing is always important with any kind of group work, so well done. All right. Does anyone have one more question or comment for this group before we move on to our last group?
Yes, I do. Good job, team. My question is, what would you say separates your group from other ideas that we've heard today? What's that key separation? Why should someone maybe invest in your group?
We want people to invest in our group because we know that we have many other different outlets in other groups. Other groups might be focusing on just one industry or just one problem or creating just one city and one area of that aspect. But for us as a company, we have many other things that can be implemented in different cities. When we build or renew old cities, we have old technologies that we can pass around in new cities and old cities that will ultimately help us become better companies. And this is what we're doing.
And kind of on top of that, we have kind of a company that covers all of the aspects of waste and pollution, or that we believe covers a majority of them, and it kind of branches out to all these different areas and ultimately results in a cleaner, more economic friendly city.
Awesome. Thank you so
Also,
much.
it was pretty interesting. Oh wait, sorry. Okay, it was also pretty interesting. Even though we all had different aspects of lessening the waste in the city, we kind of worked together for, like, let's say my landfills of the plastic that we take out of it that take a long time to biodegrade, it would then be sent to other projects that they can use. So we all work together for it.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. I love the teamwork, collaborative effort. I love the uniqueness of your company. You guys did a good job working together and you presented really well. Awesome.
Great. Well done. To the wasters. All right, our last company. It is 12:23. Our last company today. What is your name? Introduce yourselves. Take it over.
We're Pollution Incorporated. So just gonna share.
Okay, so the name of our company is Pollution Incorporated, and we decided to focus on eliminating pollution by eliminating the use of plastic or refurbishing it once it's been used. And plastic is something that we all use in our everyday lives so frequently without thinking about it. So it really has a big effect on our environment, specifically focusing on pollution. To start off, we have a scenario that we want everyone to think about for a few seconds. So just like imagine you're walking through a big city like Boston and you don't see a trash can in sight. There's no trash flying as pollution seeps from the drains of the roads. There's no plastic, no huge streams of pollution escaping into the sky from the companies thriving in the city. And it's really like amazing to think that with our plan within the next 100 years, this could be our future.
So for my slide, I focused on sources of energy and electricity because everyone uses electricity in their everyday lives. The idea I came up with is solar panels on all rooftops, and what they do is they collect sunlight and convert it into energy and power homes. And although like during the winter, there's not as much sun, there's energy saved up from the summer that will later be converted into energy and power the homes.
So the idea of pollution behind water is that within the next 100 years, we hope to be able to provide the world with a filtration system that will be built into our houses in order to eliminate the use of plastic water bottles, which release bisphenol A and BPA. And the United States actually uses about 29 billion water bottles a year. That's not including other countries. So pollution is being emitted widely across the world without really knowing about it. And with our system, rainwater will be collected in our houses that will also be connected to something similar to a mainstream water system. The water will then be sent to a dam where it will be filtered, and the waste will be sent to factories where these items will be refurbished and reused into helpful community items for like less fortunate. And the filtered water will then be sent from the dam to surrounding cities and towns where these homes will also have built-in water systems similar to like water systems on a refrigerator that we get water from. And that will completely reduce like plastic water bottles, and we'll just all use reusable cups. And clean drinking water will always be available in our houses, and we'll never have to worry about that. In creating this system, we'll be able to reduce our use of fresh water for drinking water, as the water will be used to produce energy as well. So that's another form of energy that we're hoping to work towards. And this will reduce the amount of pollution and harmful substances released into the atmosphere by electrical companies.
So one of the main parts of a city that like really produces a lot of is sewage, and one of the best ways to get rid of like just human waste and convert it to something else is the use of a Janicki-Omni processor. And how it works is it takes human waste or biosolids and it puts them into a dryer where the moisture from the solid evaporated and they're taken to a boiler. The biosolids are also taken to the boiler to use as fuel. And the steam from the like the water that you got from the dryer goes into a steam engine, which can spin a turbine in a generator causing electricity, and some other steam can also go back in to heat up the dryer. And in some Janicki-Omni processors, the steam can be cooled down and can be used as clean drinking water. And it sounds gross, but this is something that really like fits into a circular economy, because from like just waste you can get electricity, water, and
So, a major aspect of creating a waste-free city is to control waste produced from transportation. And the gasoline emitted by vehicles is a huge contributing factor to waste production. So, in order to eliminate waste entirely, since it's essential. In order to eliminate waste entirely, it's essential that us human beings opt to use more energy efficient means of transportation, such as electric vehicles. As an alternative to cars, there's so as an alternative to cars, there's several options for electric transportation, including scooters, bikes, buses, and trains, which will decrease waste production as they produce zero tailpipe emissions and many times are crafted from eco-friendly materials. And over time, they'll play a pivotal role in lowering greenhouse gas emissions. With the permanent transition to only electric fueled vehicles eventually, in 100 years, even flying cars could be possible. According to a new study by CNN, fully loaded with a pilot and 3 passengers, flying electric cars would have about 52% lower greenhouse gas emissions than traditional cars and would generate 6% lower greenhouse gas emissions than electric cars.
So part of the city that we want to focus on were stores and businesses, and companies produce a lot of items that excess items can be like that they produce can be sent to people who aren't as like.
I'm so
for
sorry.
example,
Can you
like,
guys
a
please
company
speak
that,
up? It's really difficult to hear you and there's some feedback in the back. Thank you. I'm so sorry to interrupt.
Is this better? This better? All right. So, for example, like in a company that kind of like just makes clothes. Any like excess cloth can be given to an somewhere else that can use that cloth to like just give things to the poor. The pollution from these companies can like or factories can be caught in filtration systems, and they can be like given back into just the earth without like causing too much damage. And we could also set laws on companies so that they don't produce waste. And all their waste that they do produce, we can like reuse it in other places where it's needed.
For plastic and like plastic water bottles, one of the solutions that we came up with is using silicone instead of plastic because it can be recycled and it can be granulated and mixed in with fresh silicone, so there's always more of it. And wooden toys can be used from or made from old wood, so there's less waste and people can destroy it and build new ones. And vending machines with cleaning liquids can be built around near grocery stores, so there's less waste after getting or finishing up using a cleaning product. And replacing plastic siding of houses to be bricks, aluminum, concrete, or plain wood would really help also reduce plastic. And instead of using like plastic takeout containers, you can do mushroom packaging, which will break down and the fungus feeds on plastic. So, and instead of using like plastic plates and plastic containers, you can use banana leaves instead.
So, soil pollution comes from artificial fertilizers and pesticides. Pesticides and chemicals lead to soil contamination and a higher risk for diseases. And in order to solve this problem, we have proposed a widespread of a simple solution, composting, and make it a requirement. Like recycle bins, neighborhoods will be given compost bins, and each house will be given compost that bill. And at the end of the month, all the bins will be taken to a farm. And in using composted soil or using compost as a fertilizer, farms are naturally enriching their soil. They're promoting more healthy plant growth, reducing the need for chemicals, and that we as the consumers will eventually have to consume. And it makes the plants more resilient to diseases.
So for telecommunications, cell phone manufacturing plants are powered by fossil fuels, which release an excess of CO2 as well as other greenhouse gases into our environment. So using more eco-friendly means of communication will help to eliminate much of that land waste that's produced and in turn lower the amount of greenhouse gas emissions. So ideally, in the future, most people should be using non-radiating devices and charge them not by your normal chargers, but by harnessing solar power, which is, it's still a working design, but it will probably won't. And companies should only manufacture their devices from more replacement materials and in turn reduce the overall size of their products.
In homes, instead of using like gas stoves, which a lot of people use to cook on, you can invest in electric stovetops, which minimize the gas that is going into the air. And instead of taking them to like a landfill when you're finished, they can be created using reusable parts, so you can always build a new one. And same thing with refrigerators, you can get them built in with water filters. So instead of buying a bunch of plastic water bottles every week, you can just use your water filter at home.
I'm so sorry. None of our iPads were functioning great, and we were just having a lot of technical difficulties. But sorry about that.
No worries. That all happens in the real world every day. Our Waters employees can attest to that. So well done. And it's hard to go first, and it's also difficult to go last. I will say that I'm impressed with your solutions. I like the idea of the silicone. That's a good idea, a real practical idea. Does anybody else have any other quick comments? I know we're kind of running over, and I just wanted to prep you for our very last session before you head off. Okay, well, let's give Pollution Incorporated a thumbs up. You did an excellent job working together and presenting and continuing on despite the technical difficulties. I guess I give you credit for the persistence and your professionalism in delivering your solution. So well done. So everybody, you did it. I'm proud of you. This will be, most likely your last session with Waters, although they are invited to join us as guests during our February 2nd session with WPI, scheduled from 12 to 1. It has been brought to my attention that you all have a half day that day. However, you still have to come. So whether you are at home or at a friend's house, you will have the link. Ms. Konis will make sure you have the link. So hop on. It's going to be exciting. There's going to be current WPI students there. There's going to be alum there. And they're going to talk with you about how you can take this experience that you just finished going through and help you kind of boost up your resume and how some of these skills might really help you in the future. And they'll share with you what they're doing as well. All right, so thumbs up, great work. I'm super proud of you. Be proud of yourselves, and we will see you February 2nd.
Erica, I just want to say on behalf of Grafton High School, thank you to the Waters Corporation for their participation with our students. It's been a great experience.
Great, thank you so much, Mrs.
Thank
Buckley.
you.